I need to grab my note.
All right, everybody, we are recording now. This is the Grow series, call number 3, but really the first call was just on the context of what we're going to do over this series. The second call was on bookings, which was last week. And if you don't have that recording, be sure to talk to your upline so you can get that. And then today's call is going to be on Hostess coaching. But I really want to start out with celebrating because we had a big challenge going on last week of how many people everyone was going to reach out to see who ended up with the most and kind of talk about bookings that you got and see where we landed. So does anyone want to throw out how many people they ended up reaching out to in the last week? I know some of the people that were challenging I don't see them on yet today. But Kathy, you had a big number out there. Did you hit your goal?
Yeah, I think so. We had a big group join, so
yeah,
we've been doing pretty good.
And you were aiming for what, 50 people out to last week?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. She said nobody could beat her. So did anybody beat her?
I'll have to add up and see how many exactly it was.
Yeah, I think your exact words like, no one's going to beat me, so I'm going to go for 50. Who else? I think that was it. I think you have me beat by just a few. Yeah. Not too many, though.
Oh, I like it.
Anyone else want to yell out how many parties they booked from last week from your booking tips that you took? I've booked 2 so far. Kathy, I know you booked some.
Yep.
Tegan, I know you've booked some since last week.
Hey, yep, I have.
How many have you booked?
I booked 4 since last week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, I kind of said last week, it's a little bit of tough love, but if you are listening to these calls, really your growth is going to happen when you implement what you hear on the calls. So if you listen to them and don't do anything, you're really missing the boat in the big picture. So you really have to, not implement everything right away, but at least take away 1 or 2 nuggets that you can put into your business and make them part of you and part of your system. So be sure that you're doing that each week, taking time to implement. Okay, so I am excited to announce Tammy Torres. Can you raise your hand so everyone knows who you are? And the pretty in the pink there. Tammy is leading a booking group on Tuesday next week. Is that right? At 2:00, and then at 7:00, I think Tegan's going to lead that portion of it. And so we're going to post out on the Grow Call series kind of some verbiage and some information that you guys can do. But these booking blitzes are awesome. You get on the phone at the beginning. Actually, Tammy, do you want to talk about it for a minute? Oh, I can't hear you, Tammy. I think you might be on mute.
Yes. First off, we meet together on a Zoom like this, and we talk a little bit just for about 15 minutes, maybe give some words to use, pump everybody up, get everybody excited. You're going to come to the call, though, with your list already ready to go. The people you want to call, including their telephone numbers, so you're ready to go. Once we talk for about 15 minutes, we all hang up, and then for 45 minutes, we just call, and then we get back on that same call line, and we tell each other how we did. And it's just so nice to know that you're not alone picking up that phone. Everybody, it's a whole group of you. We're excited to see how many people make how many calls. And some of us might make fewer calls but have more contacts. So some of us make lots of calls and maybe leave lots of messages. But all of the seeds that we plant, all of the connections that we make, they're one more thing that is going to propel your business forward. It's to that next booking that you want and need. And what's really exciting is those who can come back and say, I got 2 bookings, or I got 1 booking, or I have 2 gals that are going to call me back tomorrow. They just have to check their calendar. That's work, that's business you would not have if you don't join us on one of these 2 times. So if you can come during the day, that's great. Meet me. If you can come at night, you'll meet up with Tegan. I'm going to try and do both because my calendar could use a little helping hand over the summertime. So.
Yeah, and especially with the double hostess credits. I mean, how exciting is that? So this is really perfect timing, you guys, that we're doing this Grow series right now, and then Tammy's leading that booking blitz. And I'll say just 2 cents about that booking blitz. The last time that I did one, I ended up booking 4 parties, but I did not book any of them during the call time. That's when I was planting all the seeds. But within 1 week, I had 4 bookings on my calendar from the seeds I planted during that call time. So it's so important. Just take that time, block that time off, and really have a list of who you're going to reach out to. I think most of us reached out to about 15 to 20 people in that, 30 to 45 minute time block. So just to give you an idea. So important. I would hop on. That's part of your action plan for this week, is to be on that booking blitz. So today we're talking about hostess coaching. And again, I mean, what better time to do this with double hostess credits coming up in June. And I just want to introduce, most of you know already, but if you don't, Kathy McCool, top trip earner, #1 all over the record boards every single month, from Nashville. So Kathy, why don't you take it away?
Okay. Thanks, ladies, for coming tonight, and I'm excited to share some tips with you guys. I really enjoy host coaching. It's one of my top 2 favorite things that I do in my Wildtree business. So I really like sharing that with my team and expanding that to other organizations. So I'm excited to share some tips with you guys. So Tegan asked me that if I would share about how much time that I spent on host coaching, and it's kind of impossible for me to come up with. So I tried to figure out the percentage of my business that I spend on host coaching. And I think it's about working with my team and working with my hostesses is about 50 to 95% of my business. And I split it about 50-50. So working with others and growing other people is 95% of my business. So you can see that that's just a big part of getting good rewards for the host and kind of growing your business. So hopefully, Tegan, that's what you're looking for. That helps a little bit. My hostess coaching process that I'm going to review tonight will walk you through the prosperity circle. And if you don't know what that prosperity circle is, get with your upline leader. Who knows, kind of a show of hands, who knows what the prosperity circle is? Okay, good. So a good group of you. Okay, so if you don't know, I'll post on our page and also, get with your leader and they can tell you what this is, but you'll get a little bit of an idea after I walk you through this. But it's called the prosperity circle. So the first step that we're going to go through is establishing our goals for the workshop. What do you want for your business, your financial goals, and how many people you want to be in front of and how many people you want to help. So my personal top 5 goals for every workshop is, #1 is to help the hostess meet her goals and really discover why she wants to host. My #2 is to have a large group. I want to make it worth my time. I'm leaving my house, I'm leaving my family, my small children, so I wanted to have a large group, make it worth my time. #3 is help as many families at mealtime and with the Wildtree opportunities that we have as possible. And the #4 is to get in front of as many new faces as I can. So my golden number every month is 100 new faces. And everybody's golden number is going to be a little bit different, or kind of my team, they try to have 100 new faces a month. And then bookings, recruiting, and sales, it's all in the numbers. So 1 in 10 that we talk about all the time. So that's why I want to be in front of enough people, then the rest just falls into place. And then my #5 is to have fun and challenge myself. So I love a challenge. You guys probably already know that. And I want to have fun doing this. So that's my kind of top 5 goals. And you guys will see in the Grow Series workbook that we posted, where I put this kind of write out your goals. You'll see the timeline checklist that I'm going to go to. And so you won't have to write all this down, but you can go there anytime or even now while we're on the call, and you can kind of go through that checklist. And then you'll also see a link to a live version of my host coaching call for my first call that I'm going to go through. So I recorded that about a year ago. So I thought I'd share that too. Okay, so step number 2 is to get excited and socialize with your new hostess. So this is that second part of the prosperity circle about excitement, being social. Host coaching starts right at the time of booking. So when I book, I fit in about 2 to 3 minutes of host coaching at that time. For me, most of the time, that's at a workshop. And it's also a few weeks before we even talk about setting up menus and stuff like that. So this timeline's going to be a little bit different for each of you, depending on where you're booking and how you're booking. But I always try to get 2 to 3 minutes immediately. So what I do in those 2 to 3 minutes is I set expectations and I show my confidence. This is what I do. Let me help you have a good turnout. Let me help you achieve your goals. So this is my confidence in setting expectations. And I pretty much let her know, if you follow the directions I give you, I know what works. You follow the 3 send email process to contact your friends, it will work. So just showing that confidence. And then I have her immediately post on her Facebook page about her meals and about her stocking her freezer. It's amazing how one picture of meals in a freezer on a Facebook page just makes things blow up. And I always tell them to tag me and tag their host and just start planting. It just starts planting seeds for them and their friends to get excited. And then I can kind of keep track of which one of her friends posted about wanting to, know more about this, that type of thing. And then I also have her make a friends list and set a goal of 50 friends. So immediately they're setting their sights at, okay, I'm going to start putting together a list, 50 friends. That's my goal. And sometimes they look at me and they're like, wait a minute, 50 friends. And then sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I got that. So I just coach to what their hesitation is about that. And then if needed, we can use that 40 friends in 4 minutes document too to kind of help with ideas. But really just getting her buy-in for inviting those 40 to 50 friends. And then the last thing I do is I get them a red stamp, save the date. So if you guys aren't using the red stamp yet, we actually have Wildtree templates, and Wildtree pays quite a bit of money to have those templates up for us. And so I use those as a save the date for them to start sharing with friends right away. And if it's a long period of time before the workshop, I just reach out to them a few times and just ask about their meals, how they're loving the meals, what they're liking about the convenience, how excited their friends are, just to really keep them thinking about adding to their friend list and keeping them excited so that they're not forgetting about the workshop, that type of thing. So that all depends on, obviously, how far in advance that you book. Okay, any questions there? Okay, so then step 3 is to really have a plan in place and put in the work. So hopefully when you leave this call and you look at the template, you'll have a plan in place. Okay, so that's kind of my goal, to kind of give you the plan and the steps. This is the timeline of the contacts that I make and the conversations I have with my hostess over the next 2 weeks. This is pretty much the invite phase. So this is when they're really going to their friends and saying, okay, here's the date, here's the menus, let's get you RSVP'd, okay? So first step, I do it 3 weeks out. So the 3 weeks out is about 4 weeks from the workshop date, and it's 3 weeks from the RSVP date. Okay, so this is the first time that I have my hosts send out their invite. So 4 weeks from the workshop date, about 3 weeks approximately from the RSVP date. Okay, and the things that I have them do, this is in the checklist too on the drive or on the homework page. The first thing I do is I contact the host to get their preferred communication avenue and their 2 menu choices. So do they communicate better text? Do they want to communicate via email? How do they want to communicate with me during this process? And then what is their why? Their goal and their expectations for the workshop. You need to know her why and why she wants to host. This is the most critical part of host coaching, I think, is being in line with that host's why. Then also some common examples of their whys are, like helping friends, getting free product, being the first person to introduce something new to their friends. So I just make those notes and I use her same language. So I make notes of what her language is on this, so that I can keep her why in mind. Okay. And then I just keep them excited in sharing it with friends and save the date. And then I coach them here that to let me do the work. I'm going to create their invite. And for now, just share that they're loving their meals and stay tuned for their workshop date coming up. Okay. So now this gives me time to create my invite and get my emails ready. And then I'm going to start emailing her shortly. Okay. So it's really just my kind of first setup conversation to bring her back into, you know, what her why is and why she want to have those in-depth conversations. And I actually do a link. I create a link of kind of a survey. So you could do this, or you could create like a Google link, or you could just ask them, you know, in an email, kind of why they're hosting, that type of thing. Okay. Good. All right. So then 2 weeks before the RSVPs are due, this is when I have the first coaching call. And I'm just going to be honest with you, this is the only coaching call that I have. Okay. But I think it's the most vital contact with your host. And this is when the invites are happening 2 weeks before RSVPs are due. I feel like that's the best time to get the best turnout, okay? So it's not too far in advance, but it's not too close to the workshop. So 2 weeks before RSVPs are due, I arrange a phone call, and I get their buy-in, I get their trust, let me do the work, and I open up their communication stream. Okay, so this is really getting them to trust me, to communicate with me, and to use me as their resource going forward. I review her why, and we talk about that in person, and what she wants for herself and what she wants for her friends. Okay, so that's 3 big things. So why is she hosting? What does she personally want from this? And then what does she want from this for her friends? Okay, and how many guests is her goal? So if she was picturing her party and, she had all of her friends over having a great time making meals, how many friends would that be? What does she envision this being like? And I always try to lead to the 12. So I let her know, my host averages 12. My amazing host, I can tell you what to do to get to 12. You have to clean your house, anyway. So why not get to 12? You get 2 workshop kits free. So I really try to lead to that 12 in attendance. And about 90% of my hosts, they put 12 guests as their goal. Okay. So this is just setting up. I don't even bring up 8. Like, we don't even want 8, right? So I bring up the 12. It's setting their expectations high and getting that 12. And, some of them do hit the 8, and they're excited because they get a workshop kit free, okay? But we're shooting for the 12 and giving that number for that. To see what else I got on my notes here. Okay, so really that's just getting their buy-in. And I talk to my leaders a lot about this. We're really just getting their permission to help them get to that number. Okay, so now when I text them or I message them, it's like, hey, how many people have you invited? I've already gotten their permission because they want me to help them get to 12. That's their goal. Okay, so I that's where I'm just setting up that conversation. And when I reach out to them to kind of get their buy-in and commitment, I just get them excited about it. So I'll say things like, all right, are you in? Are you ready to do this? Are you comfortable with inviting this many people to make this happen? Just asking direct questions and letting them answer me, yes, I'm in. That's what I want to do. Okay, does that make sense to you guys so far? Okay, and then I let them know about the 1/3 of people that we invite can come. Everybody's busy, only 1/3 of people that can come that we invite. And that's to anything. It's not just their Wildtree workshop. It's to their birthday parties. It's to their, church events. It's to the sporting events. That's just life, okay? So I asked them, are you comfortable getting to your 12 to invite 40 to 50 friends? So are you comfortable with that? And then I immediately know if I need to coach to them getting to 50 invites or 40 invites. So if you don't have to coach to that, great. She's like, yeah, I can easily do that. Then don't waste your time on it. She's got this, okay? So I immediately ask what they're comfortable with. And this is big too, because you're addressing the emotional side so that they commit to the goal. So the emotional side and where they're buy-in, that's the part that matters. It's just not them assigning a number. It's them, that they're committing to it and they're comfortable with it. So I'm asking about how they feel. And then I also have them have their friends bring friends. And I tell them this could double the workshop. So this is really important for those that say they couldn't get to the 40 to invite. I give them example of a lady that wanted to host with me so bad, and she had just moved here, and she said, I have 5 friends that I can invite. And I said, all right, let's still do the workshop. She wanted to have 10 or 12 people. And I said, let's make sure all 5 of those people can come, 5 of your friends, and make sure they at least bring 1 friend each. And we ended up hitting her goal. Okay, so I always give that example of it could double your workshop size. Okay, so that's having a friend bring friends. And then the other thing is too that they can ship the kits direct friends or those friends that can't make the workshop date. So you guys know how you get all these notices up front, they get all the no's, they can't make the date. Well, they can immediately turn around and say, that's perfect because you can still make the meals. You still want to make meals, and they can make the kit on their own. So shipping direct is really big. And I let them know, I said, my hostesses have 2 to 3 people that they ship direct to at every workshop. So that's how you can hit that 12 to 15 range and only having the 10 to 12 at your workshop. So I let them know, every, host has a sister-in-law or a mother-in-law or somebody that could benefit from the meals. Let's get them getting the kit shipped directly to them. Again, you're just setting their expectations on these things that work. And then I go through what kind of avenues she prefers to invite. So I tell them to choose at least 2, and then I use the exact words, okay? So I use these words. My amazing hostesses, they use all 3 avenues. Okay, so immediately they want to do 3 avenues to invite because they want to be that host that gets 12 people, right? So it's just the way you use the language and the expectations, okay? So I tell them email, Facebook, and text. That's the 3 avenues that I see has the most responses. Then I walk them through the emails, okay? So we send the first send email, and I use the 3 send email format, and that's what I've used for, I guess, ever since I started 4 years ago. And I posted an extra video for homework on the workbook, and it actually goes through. Jen Klein did a really good call, it's probably been a couple years ago, on the 3 send email. So it's about a 45-minute video, but it's so worth it. That's where I got this whole template from, okay, and then made it mine. So that's a great, great homework to give you some more ideas on that. But I let them know to send out the first email and the Facebook invites today. So not tomorrow, not any other day, but today, so we can get on that. So exactly 2 weeks before. And then I explain how the Facebook event works and how a private event works, but not everybody gets the invite alert. So you have to be sure to contact people via Facebook Messenger or at least text to let them know that you've invited them. So it's necessary to contact people on a personal basis individually to get good attendance. If they don't do anything else, they have to reach out individually to people. And then I ask her what her potential questions or hesitations are that she expects to get from her friends. And the reason I ask this is because that's her hesitation. It's not theirs. Okay, so I can immediately squash. The most common one is, I'm afraid they're going to think it costs too much, right? We've all heard that. So I immediately go through, okay, well, what do you think it's been for you? Has it saved you time and maybe it didn't save you money? Has it saved you stress? Did you not waste as many groceries? So I really go through the example with her and then just have her share what she loved about it. Okay. And then I can immediately coach to what her hesitation is here. And I also let her know to use me as a source for any questions and any hesitations that come up. And the hosts that have 12 people come, they're the ones that CC me on emails or 3-way text me or 3-way message me and let me answer questions that she gets from her friends. Okay, so it's really big about her communicating with me too. And then after that, that's kind of the conversation that I have, that one phone call that's 2 weeks before RSVPs are due. Any questions on that? Anybody else have anything else that they do on the conversations or words they say?
Kathy, my only question would be, can you give us an approximate of how long those conversations usually last? I know that going through it and explaining it to us right now, would lengthen that. But
yeah, it takes between 5 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
So it's a really broad range. And I have kind of a checklist that I write, and I can post that too. I don't care. You guys just let me know. But I have a checklist on my whiteboard, and that's what I just make through while I'm on the phone with them. So sometimes we bring up, friends bring friends. She brings that up. So I don't have to go into detail. So it just depends on the host and how much she wants to talk. But it's part of letting them empty their cup too that we learn about, right? So letting her talk about her hesitations and stuff like that. So,
sure.
And I would say the average is probably 15 to 20 minutes.
Thanks.
And I went through a phase where I wasn't doing these because it was 15 or 20 minutes with 8 to 10 hosts every month. And I really regret that because there was a big drop in attendance, and that is why. Because I didn't have that first phone call. Nothing else changed except that I didn't have that first phone call, and it was a huge drop. So for my 15 to 20 minutes on the phone, I left my family with 12 to 15 people at a workshop instead of 4. Okay, does that answer your question, Beth? Okay, so the next step I want to go through is the next kind of days after that, following that, I make contacts with them every 3rd day or so. So that may be most of the time via text. And the big thing here is just making sure that communication avenue is open. If she said she wanted to communicate via email, then I communicate via email. If she says she wanted to communicate via text, that's what I do. Okay, so I'm using her communication avenue. She already gave me permission to do that. Okay, so what I'm asking is direct questions. How is your inviting going? Have you personally contacted all of your invites via Facebook Messenger, text, or phone? How many people have you invited? What questions or hesitations are you getting? How many yeses do you have? And who have you heard from? I just keep her excited and focused on her goal the best that I can. Because remember, at this point, she's heard no's because she's heard all the no's first. So I'm really just getting her excited and letting her know you're going to hear the no's first. Just remember the yeses are next. So just keeping her in the circle with that. And always end with, okay, what can I help with? What can I help with on this process? So just saying service oriented. And then my next really big touch is 1 week away from the RSVPs. So I call this crunch time, okay? So my hosts usually like that. I'm like, okay, it's crunch time now. We have to make sure you've contacted every single person and 1 week is left. So to get a good group, you have to have the personal contact. So I just reiterate that. And I get her excited and her eyes on the prize, right? So her goal is 12, and hey, we got 4. You only have, 8 left. So I'm always saying, okay, you only have 8 left. You're so close. Always keeping her excited and eyes on the prize, okay? At this point, I have her send the second send email invite. And she can also add to people at this point. So if we haven't heard from very many people and she hasn't gotten any RSVPs, I usually give her the idea of, we really probably should reach out to some more people. You're extremely busy people. Since we haven't heard from anybody, let's add to that invite list. Okay? And then I have her send her second personal contacts. So she sends the emails, but she also sends the text and Facebook messages the second time. And I give them the exact language to send out so they can literally copy and paste from this. And yet again, I ask direct questions like how many guests have you had? How many say yes? How many, and then I let her know how many have RSVP'd and paid. So really just keeping her in the loop and keeping her motivated. And one of the big things that I do is I always text as people RSVP. And I say, hey, Sam Smith RSVP'd, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And they're so excited because their friend's in, okay? And that really keeps the momentum going and the excitement in. And I also tell them to start sending me a list of the names and even email addresses, if they'd like to, of the people that told them yes or maybe. And so then I start keeping track of that on my list, and I can start marking those off the list. And this also helps me determine if she's really reaching out to people individually, or if I need to have that conversation with her on, okay, we said we're going to get to 12. What are we doing to get to 12? Okay. And I ask her, have you personally reached out to everybody? And then I ask her too about what no's and what hesitations she's hearing on why they're no's. If it's just because of the date, I just remind her, they can do a workshop kit on their own. But if it's hesitations, then I'll post on the Facebook event and I'll have her tag people, or I'll have her 3-way message me or 3-way email me, and really just let me help with those hesitations. And this is really the turning point where they'll really open up to you and you can really help with those hesitations as they're coming in. And we also analyze what's working and what's not working. So if nobody has responded to her Facebook messages, then I'll say, okay, let's change the theory and let's text everybody, okay? So maybe her friends just don't Facebook message, which is not very common. I've seen that most of the time they do use Facebook Messenger. So, but just kind of an example. And then I remind her to have friends bring friends. So the ones that said yes to her so far, I have her reach back out to them and, have them invite their friends, because I give a discount for friends, inviting friends too. And then I check usually after the day after I send this email to her with these directions. I text her and kind of say, okay, did you get the email out? You know, where are we? Anything I can help with, right? So the big key here is to stay service oriented with your language and your attitude. Remember, you're helping her get to her goal of 12. Okay, it's not my goal, it's her goal. We're helping her get to that. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the 1 week before conversation or text message and emails to send out. Any questions on that? Okay, so next will be the contacts 2 days before the RSVPs are due. So this aligns with the 3 send system that I talked about, that I posted some more information on. So it's 2 weeks before RSVP, 1 week before RSVP, and then 2 days before RSVP. Okay, so that's that 3 send system. So the 2 days, I always use the word crunch time, right? So I let them know this is when 80 to 90% of your guests are going to come or going to RSVP if you make personal contacts. Keyword, if they make final personal contacts, okay? And I kind of bring her back to her why, and you're so close to your goal, you know, be her motivation, be her cheerleader. And I also give this example sometimes if I feel like they really need some motivation. And I let her know about, you know, just like me, we're super busy, and I got her email 2 weeks ago. And I thought, this is exactly what I needed in my life, right? I didn't RSVP and I didn't respond because I'm super busy. But I thought, I'm going to ask my husband which menu we want to do. Then I got her email a week before, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot. I need to ask Greg which menu we want to do. And I don't respond, okay? And then I choose a menu. And I get her last contact, her last text 2 days before. And I'm like, oh, man, I almost missed out on this, and I RSVP right away. Okay, so that's how all of our lives work. In fact, probably most of you on this call, that's what you did at your first workshop too. Okay, raise of hands. Okay, yes. And so I give her that example, right? Because that's how life works. So she's not pestering her friends. She's really just trying to help them make sure they don't miss out on this. Okay. And the goal here is really to get her friends asking questions now because they've waited till the last minute to ask those questions. So really just opening up that stream of communication. And then I have her private message her Facebook friends that haven't responded, and they most likely did not see the invite or questions that she had. So we just reach out to everybody. Really, we're just reaching out to everybody that third time. And you'll know by now if she's done her contacts, okay? So if you need to be in quick buy-in mode again and get her brought back into the circle and why she wanted this, or if she's really contacting people and you see RSVPs coming in, okay? And at this point, I'm also going through with her list that she sent me of, you know, say she sent me 5 people that told her yes. I'm saying, okay, I have not heard from Sam, Amy, and Melissa. So we need to, you know, reach back out to them and make sure they RSVP on the link and they understand that needs done, or they RSVP and place their order, okay, and make their menu choice. And then I always end with, what can I help with? Okay, so staying that service oriented. Okay, so that's the 2 days before. It's kind of the final crunch time. You'll see most of the RSVPs come in, keeping her motivated. Any questions on that? Okay, and then the last time I contact them about the RSVPs is the day that we order. So I tell her the good things about that's been working with her, like, you know, her, for example, how good she was at inviting her friends, how organized she was, how everyone wants to come to her party, how I loved working with her because, you know, her thought process was the same as mine or whatever. So this should feel natural and it should be genuine. Okay, so it should be very genuine. I don't ever have the same conversations with my hosts. It's always different. But this is where you're really setting up the opportunity. And one of the biggest conversations I have with my host is right now about the opportunity, because she knows her friends love this. And I tell her, you know, you're doing more work than I am as the rep, right? So you hosting, you did actually more work than I did, okay? So I present the opportunity to her. And if she chooses to come on board, we can get her signed up and she can get the bookings from the workshop from her friends, okay? And this happens very often. And I go in, and most of the time I'm able to get 5 to 6 bookings on their calendar. Okay, so they're starting out. In fact, you know, one of my new gals might be on the call too, Brittany. I don't know if she's on the call, but we just did that 2 or 3 days ago. Okay, so this is a really big seed planner conversation with the day that we order. And then I also have her go back to her friends after we order in the next couple of days and just let them know if they didn't respond in time or they didn't RSVP in time. I always have extra kits on hand, you know, maybe 1 or 2 or however many you want. And then I have them, or they can come to the tasting portion and leave with the meal plan. So they can use one of the extra kits, or they can just come to the tasting portion. So this is a big push for that at the end.
Kathy, can I stop you for a minute? Can everyone make sure we're on mute? Because I'm hearing a lot of background noise. Kathy, I know you said your internet was kind of touchy, but I don't think it's yours. So if everyone can make sure you're on mute, that would be great. So everyone who listens back to the recording, so they can hear it cleanly. Thank you.
That sounds a lot better. Thank you, guys. So now I just let her know that the work is done. Now we can get excited about the workshop in a week. So it's about a week from now, and just have fun with friends. Okay. So that's that final bringing her back. Okay. Now we're going to go back and have fun. You know, you have this list of friends coming. Let's get excited about it. And then after the workshop order is placed, I send her the final email with the details. When I'm going to arrive to her house, which is about 30 minutes early, remind her about the extra bundles for any latecomers. And I also let her know that I have 2 to 3 spots at every workshop that fills last minute. Okay. So like, again, it's setting those expectations of, oh, wait, maybe I should have a couple people that will come. Just telling her those examples. Okay. And then just rounding up those final guests that want to come to the tasting. And the big thing about this is, and you guys probably already know this, but this is how you get in front of more people. So say you have, you know, 8 workshop guests or 10 workshop guests. She could easily round up another 5 to come to the tasting portion and just check it out. That's 15 people you're in front of instead of 10. Okay, so that really increases your numbers of people. And then I also send her details on what bundles are going to arrive to her. I ship directly to her, how to have them organized before I arrive. Then we put together the menu that we want to do for the workshop. It could be a lot of things, or it could just be 1 or 2 small samples. And then just that I can't wait to see her and share this with her friends. All excitement. So just getting her excited. You know, her friends are pumped to see her and to share this with her. You know, she's an awesome friend for sharing this with everybody. And then the last part of the host coaching is the 2 days after the workshop. So I guess this is not only host coaching at the beginning of the workshop, but it's the full circle of now I'm following up with her after the workshop, the conversations that I'm having afterwards, okay? So we had an amazing workshop, and I'm just going to follow up with her. Thank you for hosting. Have her spend her host rewards. Share how many workshops and parties were booked off her event. How many guests said that they would host for her on the survey. So you guys have seen the surveys, the surveys from the workshops, and most of them have on there, would you host if Sam signed up as a rep, right? So I just let her know, most people don't know how much existing business they have within their own circle of friends. So this is a really big deal. I decided to trigger on hosting at this point. And then I go over the business opportunity if that interests them. So I do a lot of pull energy and not push energy. So I'm really just giving them the facts and being available if they want to talk in more detail about it and how exciting their friends were. I had some great conversations with them, and we're going to have some awesome workshops coming up. Okay? Any questions about that? That's the full contact then with the host. Okay?
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
One of the things that when I first started Wildtree, I was told that I did not have to have stock. I've noticed that a lot of people have extra kits and bundles and everything on hand. Is that something that I need to invest in? If so, which ones would be the normal ones that I would need to? Because obviously, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, I don't have a lot of extra money to spend on things that I won't be using. So I would need to know exactly which ones would be the best ones to get.
Yeah, okay, I can help with that. What I tell my new gals especially is use extra host rewards once you have your pantry stocked, and just get an extra kit here and there. So I've never put out money for my inventory, never. So if you're hosting a workshop or using, once a month or whatever your specific goal is, that's a big part of stocking up on that product. Now, I don't keep inventory and I don't teach to keep inventory. I only have workshop kits because I know I can turn them over or I'll use them myself.
Perfect. Okay, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a perfect idea. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Hey, Kathy, that video that you talked about that you're going to post, is that something that you use to just train your team in what you say, or do you actually send that video to the hostess?
Yeah, I made that video to send to the hostess. That was in my phase where I talked about not talking on the phone with my hostess on that first call anymore because I was super busy. And I thought, well, I'll record a video to share with them. And I said, nope, I'm not. I'm going to get on the phones and I'm going to see if it makes a difference. And it made a huge difference of me just being on the phone with them. So I originally recorded it to send to my hostesses, but I never did.
Okay.
But it's a good example of, and I use some more language and I added some more things to the call since then, but it's a good example of kind of different language to use and my examples that I give the hostess and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great for training. I actually thought you sent it to the hostess. So that's why.
Yeah. And that's what it was for. It was intended to send to the hostess.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, and then step 4, I'm just going to work my way the rest of the way around this, the prosperity circle about host coaching. Step 4 is really the analyze phase. So, get with your leader, get with your upline and see what is working for you, what is not working for you with your hostess coaching. Okay, so not everybody's going to do it like me or like Annie or like Tammy or like Beth. We're not all going to do it the same, but really getting together on and analyzing what's working, what's not working. And for me, my big example was I wasn't on the calls anymore, and that was not working for me. That was the biggest thing that I, needed to do, was be on that first call with my host. So that was a big eye opener, but really just analyzing what you're doing and then resetting your goals that I talked about. So I'm consistently analyzing, going around that prosperity circle about, okay, I had 10 workshops, the last 7 weeks or whatever that is, and what worked, what didn't work. I'm going to reset my goals, and then I'm going to, go through those phases again. So that's kind of the prosperity circle put into the host coaching aspect. Okay. And then my leaders and I discussed this. It's okay, even if you're a leader or a director, to, have the problem like I had, right? I was doing something that was working so well, and then I got lazy or I stopped doing it. And it's okay to say, okay, I need to start doing that again. I mean, my leaders and I talk about this all the time, especially about host coaching and people joining your team. Like, what are you doing different that you did before? Or what was working before that you're not doing? Okay, so that's okay to have those conversations. And let me think of anything else that I'm missing here. Okay, really that's it. I think I was just going to ask if anybody had any questions, or you needed any more language, or if anybody had any suggestions on what they're doing that's working. And then, like I said, all of this, don't be overwhelmed by it because it's a lot of information, but it's all put into a timeline for you. You can check off as you host coach, okay? I really tried to go through and you put some of my wordings and put some examples of what I give into that document. So I hope it's useful for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Do we need to do some sort of challenge for next week?
I think so.
How many hostess coaching calls do you do? Since we're going to be doing this booking blitz and getting a ton of bookings.
I like it.
How many hostess coaching calls? I think this is a part of my business that I have not been doing well recently. So thank you for re-energizing.
Yay.
And refocusing me, because I'm going to challenge myself. So.
Well, it's really time consuming. I mean, but I think it's one of the most rewarding parts of your business. That's why I say it's 50-50 on me working with my hostesses and my team. I mean, every host that I've ever had leaves my best friend. And that's just part of, because I built their trust and we communicated back and forth and we hit a goal together. I mean, just think, that's what you do with your friends, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's a big part of your business and just developing relationships with people.
Yeah, love it. Any other questions for Kathy?
I have a question. Sorry.
Hey, Kelly.
I missed the very beginning, so I apologize if this is something that you talked about. But one area I'm struggling with lately, okay, hold on, is that when I approach people to see, what their interest level is in hosting, I have a lot of people that tell me that they're interested, but they give me kind of like that maybe answer. And then I've had so many people say, let me go and ask my friends, let me go ask the people and see who all would be interested. And so they're wanting to do that before they commit to hosting. And so then it leaves me in an awkward place. So in a few days I follow up and say, hey, how'd your friends respond? And I get one of two responses, either, oh, I forgot to ask anybody, which makes me think, they're not really that interested. Or B, they had a few, or they might say, oh, I don't know, people don't seem that interested, or they start giving me the hesitations. But I'm really thinking it's more them and their hesitations, but I guess I'm just not gaining their trust early enough to get them to commit to, let's go for it. I don't know. So that's not really
that's great, because I talk about this with my team a lot, and we hear that from people a lot of times. And so I ask them, hey, would you mind if I give you some advice about this? Because this is what I do. And they're just like, no, please tell me. And so I say, okay, so you're not going to get any friends to say that they're definitely in unless you have a date, 2 menus, and a link to RSVP, period. So you're making it 10 times harder on yourself than it needs to be. Let me do the work. Let me create the invite. Let me create let you choose the menus, and then let's get your friends get excited. Otherwise, you're contacting them another time. You're going to get frustrated. You don't have any information, and you're doing the work when I could be doing it for you. And then they're like, okay, yeah, let's set a date. Does that help?
Yes, that definitely helps. And Annie had probably told me that exact thing before. She had definitely told me to tell them that they need to set a date. So I started doing that, saying, well, why don't you, before you approach your friends, why don't you at least approach them with a date? But I hadn't come up around the side of saying, you're doing twice the work. Why don't you just let me create the event? Like, no one's going to commit to something that's a maybe. Like, you're not even solidly offering them. You're just saying, I might do an event. Would you want to come? I even had somebody post that today. I might do a Wildtree workshop. Who would want to come? And I'm thinking, Well,
and you ask them for permission to give your advice too. You're already letting them earn your trust. Like, this is what I do. Let me do what I do. And you just have fun with it. You just be the host. So can I ask for their permission to give feedback on how that works? And that helps too, because then they've already gave you permission for you to tell them what works best, right?
Yeah, Kathy, that for me, just this whole call, there's 2 or 3 times that you've said things, and the way that you've switched the wording around to make it say, I'm the expert in this subject matter, without being boastful and arrogant, of course, but I'm the expert in the subject matter. Would you like my advice? Because I've been doing this for a while, and let me tell you how amazing hostesses can really have great parties. And
that's
just
right.
The wording that you put in a couple of those places makes a huge difference.
Yep. Because they trust you. I mean, this is what you do, Yeah. That's great. And then Kelly, I want to add another thing to that too, that question you had a minute ago. Once you get their buy-in and their date, that's why those first couple calls, finding out about their why, because she has a totally different why than what you think it is, because she's on a different page than you are. So that's why it's so important to find out, now that you have her date set, schedule that first call with her and find out why she really wants to host. And what her friends' hesitations are going to be, right? So that you can coach to that and turn it into a good party. So that's where that whole, first host coaching call comes into play.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay. Anything else you want to add, Kathy?
No, I think that's it. I love sharing about host coaching.
That was
I could talk for more. I could talk for hours. I wish there was more questions.
that was amazing. I took notes the whole time and like starred all over my page different things I need to make sure I'm doing that I used to do, actually. Like you were saying that you talked with your leaders, like I actually remember doing that. I remember saying like, look, this is the way to do it. I've done this so many times, and I think I've gotten away from that language a little bit, and it makes a huge difference. Definitely.
Yeah.
So.
And not every host, that's another thing too, is not every host wants 12 people. Mm-hmm. And there's just, I have to be okay with that. So if I'm not okay and she only wants 4 people, then I just, I wouldn't go to the workshop or whatever, which I do, because 4 people workshops are still great too. But, I have to be okay with that, and I'm on the same page as her. So I'm not pushing her to have 12 when she only wants her 4 closest friends there. Okay, so that's how you don't build friends. That's how you don't do well in this business, right? Because you have to be on the same page as them. Now, a lot of them say 8 because they get a workshop kit free, and you can coach them to 12, right? So their goal is 12. But, if they're at that 4 or 5 range, you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Next week, recruiting. It's on Wednesday night at 8:30, so be watching for that information to log in. And the booking blitz, get that on your calendar for next Tuesday, and we'll have that information out there as well. So thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Hey, Annie, do we want to do the competition? What do we want to do?
Ooh, yeah. What do you want to do? How many calls are you going to make to your host? How many touch bases? At least, I think, but at least one of them has to be a phone call, don't you think?
Yeah, I would see how many phone calls and how many touches to your hostesses. I think that's good.
Yeah.
And kind of what kind of conversations are you having? Are you having confident conversations with them?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yep. I'm going to post again Mastering the Basics. Okay. And you guys, we added a portion for hostess coaching. You can go in there before you start doing your calls and check it. Are you a master at hostess coaching? No. If not, where do you need to improve? And look at that. And then at the end of the week, revisit it and see where you have improved. That too. So
perfect. Who's in on the competition? Anybody? Everybody? Yes. Does a smile mean yes?
I'm in because I need some more people. So.
Yep. Good. Beth is in. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kathy.